right, we are live. Welcome to our weekly Truss T&T call. T&T stands for Tips and Tactics. So today we are here with Jim Bennett and Madeline with NOW CFO to learn a couple of important tips and tactics from them. So throughout this whole coronavirus craziness stuff, we have talked a lot about the EIDL loan and the PPP loan. But in talking with Jim last week, I learned about a new loan that's not very well known. It's called the Main Street lending. Yep. So these guys are experts at this, and I wanted to bring them in so we can learn more about this lending loan that isn't very well known. So first off, what is the Main Street lending loan?
Well, Logan, thank you for having us. I'm excited to have Madeline with me. She's our head of research here, and it's keeping us up to date. And we've been trying to disperse this information as far as we can. So the Main Street lending loan, it's an interesting program. There's $600 billion available. And in talking
compared to the PPP money.
So it's just smaller than the 2 rounds of PPP. Wow. But it's intended for different uses, slightly different use. The underlying goal of all of these loans is to keep people employed. But this is really a loan. It's not forgivable. It has 4-year terms, and there's a bunch of details we can get into. The cool thing is, it's really, you can do almost anything you want with it except distribute it to owners, pay dividends, refinance debt. Those are kind of the main 3. Remember, anything we say, it's evolving, so it could change tomorrow. In talking to Key Bank said their information has revealed that they only think between 100 and 150,000 businesses nationwide are going to apply. Now, here's some of the reason why. The minimum loan is $1 million. Maximum loan is $25 million. The largest company that can apply can be billions in revenue and have up to 15,000 employees.
And actually, just to jump in, the Main Street lending program is 3 loans. So there's 3 different kinds of loans that you can get, and they just changed the maximum and minimum amounts. So it varies depending on which loan you apply for, but one of them does have a minimum now of $500,000.
Oh yeah, that just came out.
And there's a new maximum of $150 million.
So Truss is now available to get $150 million, Logan.
That would be incredible. I'm not sure we qualify from the little I know about this. So take me through the beginning. How does somebody qualify for these loans?
So there's 2 main qualifications. You have to have less than 15,000 employees.
Okay.
And you have to have less than $5 billion of 2019 revenue.
So that's a lot of people.
Yeah. And then you also have to be founded in the US or under US law, which is pretty consistent with most of the CARES Act loans.
How do they determine how much money somebody gets? Is there an equation that they go off of, or how does that work?
Yeah, so the equation differs depending on which loan you apply for, but generally what they're going to do is take your 2019 EBITDA, so your earnings before, you want to say it?
Before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization.
And then they're going to subtract either all of your existing debt or a percentage of your existing debt, and that's how much you're going to use. But they are willing to multiply your EBITDA by either 4 or 6 to get the upper cap of how much you could qualify for.
So to give you an example, if you made $1 million last year, in the and these are sub programs under Main Street lending. In one program, you would be eligible for $4 million, and another one you might be eligible for $6 million. And let's say you had $2 million in a line of credit, and maybe you only had $500,000 drawn. What you would do is take your upper cap, 4 times your last year's EBITDA, or 6 times, minus the credit facilities you have, gives you your eligibility. But you have to go to a bank, and they're going to take you through standard underwriting. And they're going to help determine how much you can actually borrow So just because you met a criteria doesn't mean you're going to be able to get the maximum amount.
Okay, so walk me through the 3 different loans under the Main Street program.
Okay, so first one's called the Main Street New Lending Facility. And these loans range from 500,000 to 25 million. And that's the one where they're going to multiply your 2019 EBITDA by 4 and then subtract any undrawn bank debt that you have. Okay. Second one is called the Main Street Priority Loan Program. And this one is a little interesting because it's actually an exception to the rules. This particular loan is designed to refinance existing debt. But you have to do it at the time of origination. It has pretty much the same terms. So you're going to multiply your 2019 EBITDA by 6 and then subtract any existing debt. The final loan is the Main Street Expanded Loan Facility, and this one is meant to expand on existing loans. So you have to go to a lender who you already have a loan with, and then they're going to make it bigger. And they range from 10 million to 150 million. This one, they're big loans. And then this one, you're going to multiply your EBITDA by 6, and you can only withdraw up to 35% of your existing debt.
What are the terms on this again?
So all 3 loans have the same terms. They're 4 years with a LIBOR of 3% interest rate, and then you can defer payments for the first year.
And payments are, so for if you, and then after 12 months, is it principal and interest or interest only?
Yeah.
Principal and interest.
Full interest, what a banker would call full amortization. So it's almost like very similar to like a car payment where you make full principal and interest payments every month. So I know some of the businesses I've spoken to are a little concerned because if you borrowed $4 million as an example and you went, so year 1, you just accrue interest at a very low rate, and then you have 36 months to pay that back. So divide 4 million by 36 and add a little bit of interest to it. You can see the size of monthly payment.
It's a steep payment.
Yeah. So
I know you guys, I mean, across the country deal with thousands of different clients. Give me a few example of what type of client is this the perfect fit for? Or what type of company is this a great fit for?
I can give you 2 real examples of companies I've spoken to in the last few days. One would be a growth strategy. So we spoke to a client that they're in about half of the country, and they need to open more offices. So they know they have a plan. They've opened many locations in the past. They're in distribution. So they're going to try to open 10 more cities with the money. So they understand the ROI. They've written a clear business plan. They have rock solid forecasts by city. So it will make sense for them to get this money. It's more than they can borrow today.
Oh, and it's way cheaper than outside investment money.
And that's what they're comparing it to, because they would need to bring in an investor, or they just have to keep growing more slowly. So there's an example. And I actually talked with one of the large banks about that, and they said, you just bring us the business plan, the forecasts, and we'll look at it. Because they're not evaluating collateral, and it's up in the air, but we don't believe, now remember I say don't believe that you have to personally guarantee this loan either.
Have they funded any of these loans yet?
No.
The application process hasn't been officially released. We don't know when it will be. They just keep saying soon.
And they have until September 30th to disperse these funds. So it's going to be a 2-week program. It will be done over time.
Jim, what was the other example of, you said you had 2 examples.
Yeah, so the second example is a company that wants to do an acquisition. So before the virus struck, they had been negotiating a term sheet for a competitor of theirs, and it's about a $10 million acquisition price. So they know what the existing EBITDA is because it's an existing business, and they know what the ROI would be. And it's just easier for them to probably, well, they believe it'll be easier to get the money this way than it would be traditional channels, or they would have to bring in money from an outside investor. And So those are two live examples. So you really have to have a good business purpose. And then the underlying premise is keep people employed or add employees. That's always going to be the underlying premise.
And you apply through this through your normal financial institutions, your normal banks and credit unions?
Yeah, so you will be encouraged, of course, you can go wherever you want, but you'll be encouraged to go where you already have a debt facility, credit facility to apply, and then they will be able to work within the parameters of your existing credit. If you're with multiple banks, you would approach both of them.
Gotcha. How are you guys helping your clients through the application process, and how are you doing that?
So it hasn't started much yet. Mostly we're just polling our clients to see who's interested in the application. And then we've got this slide deck that you're going to share. We're just sharing information to help people be aware of the program just because it hasn't been widely publicized.
Why not?
Oh, I think in some ways it took a backseat to the PPP loans and the frantic nature of getting that money out and those kinds of
Like the word forgivable, right?
Yeah.
It's funded through the Federal Reserve, and so the term sheets and the details around the loan are pretty complex and can be difficult and off-putting to understand just the way that they phrase some of the language.
So I think that's important to note. This is not an SBA program. This is going through the Treasury.
Mm-hmm. And there are a list of covenants and certifications that businesses will have to kind of meet and promise as part of receiving these loans.
Interesting.
So,
what else am I not asking? What else do our members need to know?
Just remember that this will be a full underwriting process run by a bank. The banks have much less risk in these loans than typical, but they're also going to be held responsible to collect this money by the Treasury. And so, favorable rates probably could create some opportunistic scenarios, could create some growth scenarios. There'll be a lot of things you'll have to talk with your bank about the actual use of proceeds, how you pay it back, those kinds of things. But it definitely will create and generate some unique opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm sure you guys referenced a PowerPoint slide. I have that slide deck. I will post that in the comments down below when we post this YouTube video. We'll post that there so people can find that. And then I'm sure most everybody watching this knows you, Jim, and I'm sure if they have questions, they can reach out to you and ask more detail.
We would be honored to do that. And honestly, I probably won't answer them. Maddie will. She's headed up this research, but we're happy to, whether it's phone calls or emails, just disseminate the information. That's all that matters. So we can have better opportunities and hopefully just keep your business. I hope everyone can keep their business in a safe place and be prepared for opportunities to grow.
Cool. Anything else that we need to know? Anything else I missed asking?
What did we miss, Maddie?
I don't think so. One thing to mention is that all participants' revenues, any amount that's lended, everything regarding the Main Street Lending Program will be public information.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. If not, thank you guys so much. There are so many different options out there, and we know. Thank you guys for being leading experts with that, and want to make sure our members are educated and taken care of. So, thank you guys so much, and have a great day.
You're welcome. Thank you. See you later.